All right, at this point I have made a transverse cut here through the trachea and the esophagus. So if I lift this up so that we can see it a little bit more clearly, notice that you see two tubes here. The trachea, the one I have my probe through, is more ventral or more toward the belly button side of the fetal pig. And our esophagus here is more dorsal, so it's sitting behind the trachea. Think dorsal fin on a dolphin. It's closer to the fetal pig's spine than the belly button. Moving on, we have opened up the thoracic cavity here, as you can see. And if I look just at the heart for a second, you can notice the two atria. We have the right atrium because it's the pig's right, not our right. The left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. I have the remnants of the pericardium, or the pericardial sac that the heart sits in. And then I have my right lung with 3 lobes and my left lung with 2 lobes. Sitting right underneath the lungs is this muscle that helps us inspire and expire, aka our breathing, inhale and exhale. This is the diaphragm. Right below the diaphragm, we have our liver. And if we look right underneath the liver, this little pouchy structure right here, that is our gallbladder. Sometimes it can look slightly green. Here it doesn't look very green. And the gallbladder is storing bile that the liver has produced, and it is going to secrete that bile into the duodenum of the small intestine. Now, I've actually cut my duodenum in half on accident, but you can see where the other piece of the duodenum connects. So not this structure here. Here's the start of the duodenum, and then where I cut it in half, there's the other piece of the duodenum. All of this here in my gloves are the intestines. I have the small intestines, and then in fetal pigs, the large intestine, or colon, is this spiral-shaped structure. So in fetal pigs, it's a little bit different. In humans, we have the ascending, transverse, and descending colon. In fetal pigs, it's all bunched together right here. I also have the cecum right here. And then if I go to the pig's left side, very, very dorsal, so very close to the back, you can see what I really want to show first is the spleen here, looking kind of like a tapeworm. But of course, I just went by the kidney here. If I put my finger underneath the kidney, you will see the ureters, which is transporting the urine from the kidney to the pig's bladder. I also want to show the pancreas, and it's really, really small. An easy way to find the pancreas is to first find the stomach. The stomach is this big pouchy bag right here, this muscular bag. And if you go right underneath the stomach, you're going to look for something that looks very granular. The glands have this very granular look to them, and that really sets them apart. And so right here where I have my probe, that is the pancreas, controlling the blood sugar of the fetal pig. So we have insulin to help bring the sugar into the cells, and then glucagon if the fetal pig was in a fasted state. So those two hormones control blood sugar and help with the homeostasis of the pig. Over here we have the right kidney and the right ureter. And then if I move over a little bit, the fetal pig's bladder is different from the human bladder. In fetal pigs, it's this long structure right here, unlike human bladders, which are more of that pyramidal, spherical kind of structure. So fetal pigs have a longer, flat bladder. And then these two structures on both sides of the bladder, those are the umbilical arteries. So when I was dissecting this, the umbilicus was right in the middle and it attached like so. Let's talk about the reproductive structures of this fetal pig. The first thing I did before I dissected is I looked between the legs toward the tail, and see this fetal pig has the urogenital papilla. That is what determines that this pig is a female pig. So now let's look at the internal structures. What I'm looking for are some real tiny squiggly tubes, and I have that right where my probe is pointing. So this would be the left fallopian tube. And if I follow it, I'll end up with the ovary. And the ovary is this really tiny, tiny structure right here that I am pointing to with my probe. All right, oh, and then also the rectum can be found right here. I can put my probe right underneath the rectum, which of course is leading to the anus. I also want to talk about the mesentery. If I put my gloved finger underneath the small intestine, see that shiny, really, really thin layer of connective tissue? This is the mesentery, which is connecting the small intestine to the back abdominal wall. I also want to point out that the kidneys were sitting behind the peritoneum, a thick layer of connective tissue, and I just freed up the kidneys so that we could see the kidneys and the ureters very clearly. All right, thank you for watching.